Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So, it's no secret that Bellatrix Lestrange was mentally unhinged and severely unstable. Those two descriptions almost mean the same thing actually, but that's because I need to stress that point to you. The woman was absolutely crazy. Bellatrix was a pureblood fanatic and thought of anyone who didn't share the same view as her as nothing but a filthy blood traitor. It's also no secret that she killed her very own niece in the Battle of Hogwarts after they crossed paths. Except they didn't cross paths. She sought her out, hunted her down. Nymphadora Tonks was a marked woman. Her aunt was desperate to end her life. But the question is, why? Why did Bellatrix want to kill Tonks so badly? Let's continue the video and find out. Welcome back guys. So let's just look at Bellatrix for a brief moment so we can piece together why she was so determined to kill her niece, and it all starts by looking at her line of thought. Her line of thought, however, comes from her background. Bellatrix's maiden name is Black, as in House of Black, pureblood advocates who strongly enforce their beliefs upon their children. In some cases it didn't stick, like with her cousin Sirius, who was disowned, and closer to home with her very own sister Andromeda, who we'll get to a little later on. So Bellatrix actually ended up fully embracing the pureblood elitist lifestyle. She wanted to please her parents too, and ended up marrying Rodolphus Lestrange, a man she didn't love, in order to uphold centuries of pureblood tradition. However, that wasn't enough for Bellatrix. She wanted more. She wanted to make a difference. So she hears of this Lord Voldemort wizard while in Hogwarts and all the changes he wants to make. So this really pulls Bellatrix in and sparks a very strong interest. Now at this point it's important to understand that Bellatrix isn't what you'd call sound-minded. She was the complete opposite actually. She had an obsessive, unstable personality which reflects on her contribution to things. She handles it differently. She sees everything differently. You could say more intensely. Well actually I am saying more intensely because that's what it is. Her intensity, it's on a completely different level. So you're probably wondering when it's going to get to her captivation when her killing her niece, and trust me, it's getting there. It's just important to understand Bellatrix's line of thinking. We need to understand how she's feeling and what her attitude is to certain situations, or this situation on her niece in particular. So she joins Voldemort and becomes a Death Eater right after graduation, and this dark wizard is everything and more. He's strong, powerful, dominant, and basically has Bellatrix hooked from the get-go. She falls in love with him too, and that's when things take an even darker turn. Bellatrix is willing to harm, torture, and kill anyone in his name. Combine that with her mentality, and you've got a very dangerous weapon in Bellatrix Lestrange. She'd even give up her own life if it meant it was for his cause. She willingly went to Azkaban for 14 years and waited on him to return, just like that, in a prison crawling with Dementors, because she was convinced of his return. That's the level she is at. It gets to the point where her happiness and direction come only from Voldemort's approval. Everything he said was the be-all and end-all of her existence. So let's quickly take it to Bellatrix's family for a brief moment. She loved her two sisters, Narcissa and Andromeda. They were extremely close growing up, and all three of them wanted to uphold their family beliefs. Bellatrix married Rodolphus even though she didn't love him. Narcissa was fortunate to find love in a pureblood with Lucius Malfoy. And Andromeda, while her intentions were pure at first, couldn't deny her eventual feelings for Muggle-born Ted Tonks, which as we know ended up in her being disowned by her family, including her sisters. Not only did it go against her family's traditions, but it stood for everything that Voldemort was against, and that was something Bellatrix could not handle, as her loyalty to the Dark Lord overshadowed her love for both of her sisters. Andromeda committed the ultimate sin when she married and then fell pregnant with Ted's child. Bellatrix was disgusted and would have killed her sister on Voldemort's orders. She never actually got round to confronting her in the end, and she was incarcerated after Voldemort's first downfall. It's very clear that Voldemort had a distaste for half-breeds and all creatures alike. Werewolves, for example, were a breed that the Dark Lord seen as beneath him, far beneath him. Although he had Fenrir Greyback carry out several missions for him, mostly as a snatcher, he would have never allowed him into his inner circle, or to ever become a Death Eater. He told Greyback and the werewolves what they wanted to hear in order to have their support. I believe he'd have killed Greyback after the war had ended. But anyway, the point of this statement is to highlight the fact that Voldemort was only doing what he had to do in order to build his numbers. It's not exactly clear what he'd have thought of Tonks' metamorphic abilities, whether they were a blessing or as a result of her mongrel birth status. However, when she followed in her mother's footsteps by marrying for love in the werewolf Remus Lupin, and then conceiving a child with him, it was news that sickened her, and also that didn't escape Voldemort's ears. He brought it to her attention at a Death Eater meeting in Malfoy Manor, publicly humiliating her by asking if she was proud of her niece's new union. He wanted to humiliate her for her failure to retrieve the prophecy, along with Lucius Malfoy for failing to overpower inferior opponents in school children. Bellatrix was embarrassed, furious and eager to set things right. The fact that she was so closely related to a blood traitor frustrated her even more. Of course, there was no anger directed at her master. It was not his wrongdoing. She even felt worse for disappointing him so much. She then made it her mission to kill Tonks before Voldemort had even instructed her to prune her family tree, which also could have implicated her sister Andromeda. However, by killing her niece, this was Bellatrix's way of not only eradicating her blood traitor relative, but also her way of punishing her sister. It's so important to understand that Bellatrix couldn't process the fact that Voldemort was disappointed with her, that he thought low of her for her failures. Her obsessive personality demanded that she make amends for it. She didn't run into Tonks by accident during the battle. She saw Tonks out on the battlefield, and it really couldn't have been a better time to do so with her niece so rusty with a wand since giving birth. A dangerous response was triggered in Bellatrix over not wanting to upset Voldemort. She even went after Ginny Weasley in an attempt to attack Harry's heart. Anyway guys, with that being said, that is my video on why Bellatrix was so desperate to kill her niece Nymphadora Tonks. If there's anything you'd like to add, then please do so in the comment section below. Thanks again, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate your support. Everyone, notifications of uploads are more important than ever. So please, if you haven't already, turn those notifications on to make sure you're notified the moment my video goes live. Making videos is what I love to do. It's my dream and my passion. However, it does cost time and money to produce this content. So if you have $1 to spare to support me on Patreon in exchange for some exclusive unseen content, then you can click the Patreon link below or at the end of this video. Please only support me if you can afford it. And make sure to follow me on Instagram at InstaDeanJ and on Twitter at PotterFolklore. Check out my other videos appearing on screen, and please make sure, most importantly, to hit that subscribe button. Thanks again everyone, and please have a great day.